Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to talk about the multi-currency dashboard. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a dashboard which can be changed if you change the currency here. So you will see these numbers will change. So essentially, the exchange rate will apply and the things will change. Okay. And in the previous video, we also talked about how to use the multiple languages. So in case I change it to the Spanish, it will change Spanish. So just imagine you have multi-currency and multilingual, and it can be then tuned in so many ways that by changing a single click or the based on user preferences, you can update those values. So I'm gonna if you are interested in the multilingual one, you can go to see my previous video, and if you are in this one, I'm gonna go over the currency one. Okay. So let's get started. So what the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna need a table. So I'm gonna reload this, just loading this table in here. And again, there are multiple things how you can do it. So there is one scenario where you have single currency transactions. So for example, your all currencies are in your local currency and you want to work with that. In my case, I have all the transactions in USD. Let's see how this table looks in this preview. So this is from USD, all the transactions are from USD to currency. I have the exchange rate here. Okay, so this is exchange rate will help me to get the things in the real time. There is another angle to that as well, which is essentially when there are multiple transactions happening in multiple currencies, and we will see that scenario as well. And then there is another complication when you want to see the historical transaction based on the historical exchange rate. Okay, so let's get started with the basic one first. So now I have this transaction, and you see, oh, it's in the uh, Spanish language. Just let's just change that into English here for now. Okay, so I have these transactions here, and this table. This is just a few tables, so I will keep this one exchange rate one. Okay, so you see my transaction. This is my transaction, and this is converted into USD. Okay, this one is assuming that all my transactions are in USD, and this is converting into AED. So let's just do a little bit more formatting here. So this one as label, and I will just go to the expression. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a number format. Okay, so I'm gonna say this like this. Okay, so this is you can have this one coming from this auto numbers or etc. This one as well. But there is an interesting thing if you want your currency to be appearing here as well. So what you need to do is you need to use the currency, C currency. I have this column here too. So I'm gonna use that here, and then I'm gonna I%. So this is now my formatting. So this is number, and this is just telling me to how to format that. So if I do that, you see I have now AED along with that, and if I change it to Australian dollar, I can choose Swiss franc. If you see the exchange numbers are changing as well as the values are changing. This is assuming all my transactions are in single currency. Okay, so this is simple. And if I see my data model here, you see this is the new loaded table. Okay, and there is no connection nor association with the existing data model. Okay, so you can just add a standalone table with exchange rates, and you can use that. Just to have a look at the formula. So this one is net sales, and this one it looks the label look a bit different because I have made it multilingual. And this one is net sales, but just the exchange rate multiplied. Okay, so that is simple. Okay, now let's just assume that your transactions are in multi-currency. So as let me add transaction currency in this one. So this is my transaction currency, and let me just add it here. So euro to this one, and if I convert it to euro, ideally this should remain same. Okay, but it is changing because it's assuming that every transaction is happening in USD. So this is wrong. Okay, if this is the case, when you have the transaction in multiple currencies as well, what we can do is you need another table which has the conversion from multiple currencies to multiple currencies. Okay, it is a very similar looking table in my case, but in this case I have from I have converted to transaction currency, and I have exchange rates for all the currencies, all the pairs. Okay, so this now is a pair from two pairs. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, so I'm gonna add that, and let's just look at the table. So you see now I have transaction currencies from currencies in a multiple one, and then two currencies, and if you see there are multiple two currencies. Okay, and if I look at the data model now my table currency table is associated with the orders with the based on the transaction currency. So that's why you know how it's gonna convert. Okay. One more little detail is that whenever you have two currency, in order to make sure, you know, when you change the selection, normally what happens is uh, we need to add check the in the field settings, you need to select the always one selected, because if you haven't done that, what's going to happen is, let's see what's going to happen in that case. It's going to select two values. Okay, so and that's going to cause all this screw up. Okay, so you need to make sure that you have in the field settings this box checked, so that you can always select one value. Okay, okay, so here we go. Now we have selected values. I have changed anything. Okay, so now let's just select euro here now. So in this case, this value remains same, but this value has changed. From USD to euro, it has changed, but from euro to euro, the value is exactly the same. Okay, so this is easy and interesting way how you can use the multi-currency conversion. Okay, now there enters another scenario. So all these transactions are happening in multiple months of the year. Okay, so let me just add month here as well. In this, I'm just gonna right here. Okay, so it's in January, it's in February. Okay, but the problem here is the exchange rate it is assuming is same for all the years. Okay, all throughout the year. But what happens if your aim is to use the exchange rate when the transaction happened? So for that, we definitely need another table for sure. That's one thing. Okay, so let's get the current monthly one. So in this one, I have created from currency, transaction currency, to currency, and then month here. So this column is important now. So this table where we basically, so we need to maintain this um, data as well in order to make sure that we get the right data model. Okay, so if we have the data in that particular value, so there, if you see, there is nothing different. Okay, in this one we have from currency to currency and the exchange rate. In this one we have an additional column called month here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this one, and once loaded, now going to see there is a composite key between the transaction data and my data. Okay, so here we go. This is a composite key between currency and the order one. Okay, so you need to, you can, you know, circumvent, and you can have one key based on you know, all this transaction. Okay, now my exchange rate for all the months will be different, and I will achieve essentially the rate differently. Okay, so for example, you see so how I can show that, I think that might be a little bit tricky to show, but let's just try that. Okay, so I'm gonna say exchange rate, I'm just gonna plot it here as well. Oh, it's interesting, it's just got me here in this format. So let's just update the number format for this one. I don't know how it get here, but let's just get that corrected. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so we have the exchange rates for one pair. So I'm just gonna select one pair, USD to euro. So for each month there is a different exchange rate. Okay, so for each month I have a different pair. Okay, so in this way it's basically using a different exchange rate, and sometimes it can transaction can happen, things can be stable, so you don't need to worry about that, but sometimes it's needed. And especially if you are creating P&L statements, profit and loss statements, income statements, or sales, you might want to get the fluctuation impact on the currency into your data model. Okay? So that's it for today. Stay tuned for more videos, and if you are interested in the language one, please watch the previous video. I'm gonna share the link in the descriptions. Thank you very much.